Okay, Golden Haggadah in 8 minutes. Let's see if I can keep it to that. Before we get into the work itself, I want to take a look at a map of Spain. So the Golden Haggadah originates in Barcelona, but we can notice that Cordoba is down there. We've already studied the Great Mosque. And the pilgrimage site that we have been referencing is right here. We can also see that map. I've already shown you this map, or it was on a document I asked you to read. Again, there's Chart, right? So all of these were actually all of the bulleted um, uh, cities were considered kind of holy sites generally, at least down here. Maybe not up in Durham, but so I mention this and I bring up the maps because what we have in Spain at this period of time is a lot of cultural intersections, and the Golden Haggadah is actually our one and only one Jewish piece that we're looking at, and so the cultural intersections in Spain this time are an important part of it. So again, we're up in Barcelona. So, a little bit about the background. Essentially, we have a number of Jewish people going into exile after the Romans kind of crushed an uprising. Um, and so they left, and they left Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem is considered to be a very holy city to the people of Jewish faith. It's also a holy city to the people of Christian faith. It's also a holy city to people of the Muslim faith, right? So we have the three big monotheistic religions looking at Jerusalem as a holy site, which is why it is such a major point of contention. Um, so the Jews who left this area are known as Sephardic Jews. Sephardic Jews, and so they had the community they had in Barcelona had actually been around since the Roman times, and so because they had been so there were obviously Jews living places other than that part of the world, where we now what we now look at as Israel. Or Palestine, depending on how you want to look at it, living elsewhere in the world prior to the Roman crushing of the uprising. So they had been in Barcelona for quite a while, and so very firmly established. And so the Golden Haggadah is produced there in Barcelona, and they were a very affluent group. And we can tell just by looking at this one picture of this one illuminated manuscript. It is an illuminated manuscript, that it is really pricey because this is gold foil. Notice how the light is bouncing off of it. So what's gold foil? Well, gold is a very soft metal, and you can hammer it down to incredible thinness, such thinness that you can paste it on fabric or paper. So that's gold foil. So we have gold foil here, thus called the Golden Haggadah. Of course, just kind of jumping ahead in time, 1492, Ferdinand and Isabella get rid of the Muslims and then the Jews, because they got to keep Spain the way they want it, or make Spain the way they want it. So we can see, if you have familiarity with biblical stories, we can see Garden of Eden stuff happening here. Adam's alone, and then Adam is with Eve, and then Adam and Eve with the serpent, right? And of course, this is obviously after they've eaten the fruit, because they are trying to cover their nakedness. So I noticed that I went from right to left, not left to right, because this is a book, basically a Jewish prayer book. It is depicted from right to left, which is how Hebrew is written, from right to left rather than left to right. So we go this way and then this way. So we will see this angel here, and I'll make a note about the angel as well. We do not see depictions of God in Jewish art. So we do see human images in Jewish religious art, though. So it's not anachronism, but we do. But God, it's forbidden to depict God in some kind of form. Um, So, like I said, this is a very firmly established, very successful culture in Barcelona. The Jewish people were there were physicians and financiers and advisors to the court, et cetera, et cetera. What we also have in Barcelona is a lot of mixing of different kinds of people from different backgrounds. And as the dominant religion in Barcelona is Christianity, much of the style that gets developed and that's popular at court is going to be kind of a Christian style of painting. And so what we'll see here is that what's notable in particular about this Haggadah is that it is likely to have been made by Christian artists who were obviously directed by a scribe or a patron in Judaic symbolism and Judaic, interests and stories and things like that. So when I said that this is about cultural intersection, this is what I'm talking about. There's also going to be a small reference to a Muslim motif in just a few moments. So it's plagues of Egypt. So there are a couple of things that we need to know about this Golden Haggadah. This particular piece consists of many pages. We're only looking at a couple. It is pigments on vellum. You know what vellum is, or you should know. So we can see here plagues of Egypt, plagues of frogs, boils, animals here. There's some writing here. This is often depicted in Christian storytelling that it's the plague of flies, but here it's attack of animals, death of the firstborn. So what is a Haggadah? I've been saying Haggadah. What is a Haggadah? It's a collection of Jewish prayers and readings to accompany the Seder, and specifically the Passover Seder. The Seder is the meal eaten on Friday evening in preparation for the Sabbath. The Passover Seder is going to be even that much more important. I referenced Passover, and this is showing about Passover or prior to Passover. If you don't know the story, Moses, the Israelites are enslaved in Egypt. Moses goes to Pharaoh and says, "Let my people go." Pharaoh says, "No." Plague, 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 plague. And finally, the final plague is one in which basically all the firstborn children were killed. Male children were killed, but not in the Jewish households because they had the blood of the lamb on the lintel. And so God passed over their homes. And so their firstborn males were spared. So that's why it's called Passover. There's a lot of tie. So the word Haggadah means narration or telling. So it's just like a teaching manual, a teaching tool, a prayer and teaching tool. Okay, so I'm a little over about 8 minutes, but I'm going to keep going because I'd rather not make a second video. So we've got extravagant gold leaf. That's what's called Golden Haggadah. And in here we have 56 paintings. So we got 4 a page. I don't know, do your math. I'm not sure. So again, Barcelona, obviously a wealthy Jewish family for whom it was made. And the stories are from Genesis, the first book of the Bible, and Exodus. So if you know the stories of Moses and his time in Egypt, you will know what this is referring to. This is, of course, when Pharaoh's chariots and his charioteers go after the Israelites. Moses has parted the Red Sea. They get to one side. The water comes back, and they all drown and die. So that's what's happening there. Okay. So we also have for Passover, preparation for Passover. So it's not just about stories from Genesis and Exodus, but it also shows kind of instructions or kind of tellings of what people do to prepare for Passover, for that celebration. And so that's what's happening here. The one Islamic motif I mentioned is here. Basically we have, well, I'll come back to that. Actually, I'll come back to it. No, I won't. Yeah, I will come back to that idea. Sorry. What we see is Gothic suggestions here, suggestions of Gothic style in Northern French painting. I would even just kind of point out the architecture that you see. I see some ribbed vaulting here. right? You're going to see some pointed kind of lancet windows, I believe, in some of the images. So, the influence of the Gothic style, even on this Jewish prayer book. So Gothic doesn't just mean related to churches; it's a general style. We are looking at it mostly in terms of architecture, but so how we describe it, we have blue frames, we have zigzagging patterns, we have scrolls, the plagues of Egypt there. I've already mentioned those. If you don't know them, I will make this available for you. You can read that yourself. Um, yeah, that's just, I think, one second. I need to get to the Islamic motif. Yes. So Miriam Moses' sister, she's holding a timbrel, and it is dedicated with an Islamic motif, actually. So there is actually even Islamic style influence on the form of this piece. So again, Spain, cultural intersections. Thank you very much.